Two boats, same length, same layout, sitting side by side at the same dealer on the same lot. One's aluminum, one's fiberglass. The price tag alone won't tell you which one's actually right for you. And honestly, neither will most of the advice you'll find scattered across boating forums and comparison sites written by people trying to sell you something. Both materials have owners who swear by them and owners who wouldn't touch the other one again with someone else's money. So let's actually settle this properly, using real numbers and real accounts from people who've owned both, instead of the vague pros and cons list you've probably already read 3 times this week. Start with weight, because it's the difference that touches literally everything else on this list, cascading through decisions you won't even think to connect back to hull material. Aluminum is dramatically lighter than fiberglass for a hull of equal size, and that single fact runs through the entire ownership experience before you've even left the driveway with the boat on the trailer. A smaller tow vehicle handles it fine, which matters if you're not looking to buy a heavy-duty truck just for towing duty. The engine doesn't have to work as hard at cruising speed to push that lighter hull through the water. Fuel burn drops accordingly, sometimes significantly, over the course of a full season of regular weekend use. You feel the weight difference the moment you back the trailer down the ramp for the first time. Aluminum comes off easier, goes back on easier, and doesn't demand the kind of vehicle you had to specifically buy and insure just to handle it. Here's the trade-off nobody puts front and center on the brochure, though. That same lightness that makes aluminum so easy to tow also makes it easier to push around once you're actually out on the water and the wind picks up. Wind catches a lighter hull more, chop bounces it around more. A fiberglass boat of similar size, with real weight sitting low in the hull, tends to settle into rough water and plow through it instead of getting knocked side to side by every wave that comes at an angle. One owner on Trawler Forum summed up the trade honestly. Without an axe to grind either direction, he'd owned fiberglass his whole boating life, but had been aboard aluminum boats built quiet and solid enough that he'd never have guessed the material if nobody told him. That's the mark of a genuinely well-built aluminum hull, though, not the average one. Budget aluminum boats can rattle, bang, and slap and chop in a way a comparable fiberglass hull simply doesn't. And that difference is real enough that plenty of buyers rule aluminum out for exactly this reason before they ever get to the durability conversation. Now, impact resistance, and this is where the whole conversation flips hard in aluminum's favor. No real debate about it once you look at the actual engineering numbers instead of just the marketing language. Marine aluminum offers something like 10 times the shear strength of fiberglass laminate, according to the naval architects and builders who actually engineer with both materials for a living, day in and day out. Run an aluminum hull over a submerged rock or a stump you didn't see coming in time, and what you generally end up with is a dent. The metal deforms, absorbs the impact energy through that deformation, and keeps you floating and moving. Run a fiberglass hull over that exact same obstruction at the exact same speed, and you're not just looking at cosmetic damage to worry about later. You risk a genuine crack straight through the gel coat into the structural laminate underneath it, which is an entirely different category of problem, one that can mean an unplanned haul out and real repair money. Instead of a bang, you shrug off and keep right on fishing like nothing happened. One captain who owned a 50-foot aluminum trawler personally worked for a major aluminum yacht builder professionally for years, and has captained several large aluminum vessels across a long career on the water. Put it about as plainly and as credibly as anyone possibly could on this exact question. Vastly stronger than fiberglass, easy to work with, easy to repair when something does go wrong, and genuinely resistant to impact in a way that changes what kind of water and what kind of risk you're actually comfortable running in without a second thought. That's not marketing copy written by someone trying to sell you a boat. That's someone who spent an entire career on both materials, watching what actually happens when a hull meets something hard in real conditions, and picked a side based on that direct experience. If you're finding this useful, hit subscribe and turn on the bell. We cover real materials and real trade-offs, not just brand names. And whichever material you end up choosing, get our free boat buyer's checklist before you sign anything at all. It walks you through exactly what to check on a hull survey for both aluminum and fiberglass specifically, because the actual failure points are completely different between the two, and a generalist inspection that treats every hull the same way can genuinely miss both. Links in the description and pinned in the comments. Now, corrosion, and this is genuinely the one category where aluminum has a real, well-documented weak spot that fiberglass simply doesn't share at all. Fiberglass does not corrode. Full stop, no asterisk. It's chemically inert to salt water, fresh water, and pretty much every chemical a boat is likely to encounter across a normal lifetime of use. Aluminum, even the good marine-grade alloys specifically formulated for saltwater resistance, has a genuine vulnerability at the exact point where it touches a different metal stainless steel fittings. Bronze through hulls, or simply the wrong grade of screw used during a repair by someone who didn't know better. That specific contact point is where galvanic corrosion actually happens, and if the sacrificial anodes protecting that connection aren't inspected and replaced on schedule, it can eat into the aluminum steadily over months and years without anyone noticing, until it's become a genuine structural problem. But here's what the fear-mongering you'll find scattered around online about aluminum corrosion usually conveniently leaves out. A 34-year-old aluminum sailboat named Palawan VI is sitting in a marina in Southwest Harbor right now, today, in what people who've actually seen it describe as new condition, more than 3 decades after it was built. A 40-foot aluminum boat called Grendel has sailed the North Atlantic for years on end with no corrosion problems whatsoever, despite not even being painted above the waterline the entire time. This isn't a material that quietly and inevitably falls apart the way some of the online horror stories imply. It's a material that specifically punishes neglect at metal-to-metal contact points, and just as specifically rewards an owner who actually understands anodes and keeps a routine eye on them every season. One Trawler Forum member who deliberately searched out and bought an aluminum yacht, rather than ending up with one by accident, put it simply and directly, the build standards on a genuinely well-built aluminum boat tend to run higher across the board, because the material itself costs 2 to 3 times what a comparable fiberglass hull costs to actually build in the first place. And a builder already charging that kind of premium usually doesn't turn around and cut corners everywhere else in the boat. That price gap is real, and worth being completely honest about instead of glossing over it to make one material sound like the obvious winner. New aluminum construction typically runs 20 to 50% more than a comparable production fiberglass boat, mostly because aluminum boats are usually custom or semi-custom welded builds, requiring genuinely skilled labor, not mass-produced from a mold the way most production fiberglass boats are turned out at scale. That labor cost gets baked directly into the sticker price you see at the dealer. Where that math actually flips back in aluminum's favor, though, is repair costs down the road, which is the number most first-time buyers never think to ask about until they need it. Structural damage on aluminum is frequently cheaper and noticeably faster to fix than equivalent damage on fiberglass. A dent gets pulled back into shape, or a patch gets welded directly in, versus a fiberglass repair that often means grinding out damaged laminate layer by layer, rebuilding the structure back up, and matching gel coat color and texture afterward, which is skilled, genuinely slow, and never cheap no matter who's doing the work. So here's where this actually lands for you. Specifically, once you strip away the brand loyalty and the forum arguments. If you're running skinny, rocky water river systems, remote anchorages, anywhere real contact with something hard and unexpected is a genuine possibility, instead of just a hypothetical. Worst case, you're insuring against aluminum's impact resistance, and lighter fuel bill make a genuinely strong, practical case. And that's exactly why serious expedition builders and commercial workboat operators lean on it as heavily as they do, year after year, in the toughest conditions the industry has to offer. If you're running open, deeper water where ride, comfort, and quiet matter more day to day than shrugging off contact with a submerged log, fiberglass's weight and its total, permanent immunity to corrosion make an equally strong case in the other direction, and it's exactly why the mainstream production market still runs on it almost everywhere you look. Neither material wins this outright, no matter what any single source insists, and anyone telling you flatly that one is simply better than the other, full stop, is selling you something rather than actually informing you. Know your actual water before you pick your hull material, not the other way around, because that's the mistake that leads to buyer's remorse more than any other single decision in this whole process. The right boat was never really about which material sounds tougher on paper or wins more arguments in a forum thread. It's about which one actually matches the specific, real way you're going to use it, season after season, for as long as you own it. Grab the free checklist. Figure out which material actually fits your water and how you really plan to use the boat, not just which one sounds more impressive at the marina. And we'll see you in the next one.